touch.
You just explode.
Right. How does that work?
Just full-on boosh.
Full on boosh to boosh.
Okay, so here is the main event. It's kind of an interesting thing for the Xbox 360.
Yes,
we are going to be looking at Happy Wars. It is a free-to-play Xbox 360.
Free-to-play Xbox 360 game?
Well, except for the 1 vs. 100 game show thing they did.
Yeah, whatever happened to that? That was kind of fun.
Yes, Happy what? Exactly. Happy Wars. This was a in-house developed title from Microsoft, and you're going to learn really quick. It's kind of a MOBA, which is a term that's used for games like League of Legends or Monday Night Combat or Dota.
Toy Logic. Okay.
Yes, but they're kind of
is Toy Logic here.
So, pretty interesting title. I just kind of want to talk about the free-to-play mechanic is really what I'm going for here.
Okay.
Because there are so many games that now, especially on the PC, that are adopting this free-to-play
Star Wars recently switched from pay-to-play to free-to-play.
But the thing is there's a very distinct difference about games that start as a free-to-play title and a game that starts that sort of slowly transitions into free-to-play. And you see it on a gameplay level. I mean, the core mechanics of the game integrate in that sort of freemium sort of quality into them. And so I want to look at Happy Wars and see just how the idea of sort of paying for that extra content as you go in a completely free game truly affects it. And there are a lot of examples where it happens where it works really well, which, spoilers, I think is Happy Wars. And there are a lot of games where it doesn't work well, where it becomes
Is that the Kingdom Hearts sword?
The Keyblade?
The Keyblade.
Yeah, it sort of looks like Keyblade. But there are games where it doesn't work well, which is what they usually sort of coin the term the pay-to-win category of freemium, where you're so required to pay for these extra items, and they impact the game so greatly that you could never win against somebody who had paid enough money for their characters, which I think is just, even outside of the idea of paying for extra content, really fundamentally ruins a game. You should never be better than the person you're playing against
because you have
more money to spend on the game.
I agree.
So we're going to take a look at Happy Wars.
I see Platinum Staff Scepter on the title screen.
Yeah, it's sort of very reminiscent. We're going to sort of mess around on single player right now. However, if any of you have Happy Wars and would like to play with us, we're actually going to allow people to play with us. If you want to go ahead and put my handle, Chuck Bonsai, in the chat. Anybody who has Happy Wars who wants to start downloading it right now, we're actually going to go ahead and let you guys join us. We won't be doing any chatting because we don't really have any way to put it into the chat. But you guys can add me on Xbox Live.
Add me on Xbox Live.
Add me anyway. You guys want to play You guys want to play any sort of Castlevania or
and Happy Wars.
Or Happy Wars. So we're going to just mess around with the single player right now. Okay. But before we get into that, I want to talk about the free-to-play system in this game.
Okay.
It's not a whole lot different than what you see in a lot of games. In a lot of free-to-play games, you have like your money that you normally would get in like an RPG or something, but you also have sort of yes, that is also my PSN name. So everybody add me all you like.
Yes,
Chuck Bonsai. Chuck Bonsai is my eternal handle. You want me on Steam, you want me on anything.
But didn't somebody have that handle somewhere?
Somebody had it on Twitter. I tried to take at Chuck Bonsai, and it's funny, it was actually just an Asian guy who happened to be named Chuck. And so like it was the only world in which somebody would take Chuck Bonsai. Like I picked it because like nobody would have this name. It just took two seemingly random things. It isn't even associated with me really. Like I'm not Chuck. Like, what?
Chuck. Yeah, how did that come about?
It was a dream. Like, it was a dream. And
you had a dream.
And so the elements of the dream. This goes back a long time ago. It became my handle in like 7th or 8th grade, like a decade ago, a decade plus. And we made jokes about what had happened, and so Chuck Bonsai. I was looking for a handle at the time, and I was like, Chuck Bonsai. It sounds awesome, cool. So not like Chuck Rock, no. I hope not, at least.
Yes, no, that's Chuck like Chuck Rock.
So yeah, you can add me on any of those. Anywho, so normally with these kind of games, you have your normal gold that you can pay for, like, items at the shops and stuff like that, and then you typically have like a premium currency. Okay. The interesting thing about this game is that the premium currency is actually completely obtainable in-game. So if you played enough, you could actually obtain the necessary
It's just
coinage.
a shortcut.
It is. It is a shortcut. So throughout your play and throughout completing missions and completing levels, you get coins, which are those little medals, the medallions kind of things. And you can come in here into the spinner. You can actually input more stars in. I actually just spent all of mine, so I don't have any money currently. But you can input it in to increase your odds. You'll see the wheel over there with color correspondence. But the more money you put in, it'll actually fill that whole thing up to 900 coins, which actually fills the entire thing. You're going to get something, which is pretty cool. So you have this way of actually gaining items. You also have happy cards, which are booster packs. Okay, the booster packs use tickets. Now these tickets are pretty much just premium only sort of things.
Okay.
And with them, you're going to get you're guaranteed. You get 2 items and 1 premium weapon, which is kind of like an uber rare. But again, you can get those uber rares. As a matter of fact, with the 3,000 coins they give you when you download the game, I already received a premium item through my spins. I don't know what that means, but as far as the odds, but that's not bad.
But war has changed, and it hasn't looked this happy. It's true. That's a good point.
So we're going to go ahead and head into the single player, so I can kind of show. Another cool thing about this is all those coins, all the leveling up that your characters can do, you can completely do from single player. So if you don't want to spend your time throwing yourself online and just getting wiped over and over again as you try to level up and learn the game, you have a full single player like story campaign where you can learn how to play. So it's pretty cool. The levels will scale and you get more coins accordingly. So we'll try hard. I've done normal.
You've done normal. You can
try hard.
You did Councilman. You can do this.
It's got a pretty basic story. It's kind of dumb. Doesn't really
dark
matter.
light.
Skip, blah.
Yeah.
Okay, and you got the obligatory screen that no one can ever get anything from, where they just throw buttons at you and you're like,
wow.
Oh god.
Okay, I learned them all. Cool.
It's simple though. So you get to pick your class, and they'll level up sort of like Monday Night Combat as you play.
Wow, they just derp you.
Oh, isn't he awesome? Look at the cleric. So that cleric is freaking gold. He's so awesome looking. We're going to play as the mage, because I doubt that this AI is going to buff me correctly. So just like the typical MOBA game, you have nodes that you're trying to sort of claim, which will give you better spawn points. Another game I'd really compare this to is Fat Princess. Fat Princess is a good comparison.
So this is like a closer, more third-person-esque Fat Princess.
Mm-hmm.
Fat Princess, you're more like isometric, aren't you?
Yep. Well, you can change that somehow.
One of these buttons.
One of these dang buttons changes.
But out there.
There we go. Look, you can even go top down.
Yeah, you can go. Yeah, now we're looking more lol right there.
Oh no, got rocked.
Jeez, you got rocked.
I've been hard, so it makes sense. We'll spawn again. And in your multiplayer, you'd actually have like a bunch of guys kind of running around, doing their thing.
Normal, hard, and very hard. Why don't they just call it easy, normal, and hard? That is a good question.
Because nobody would play easy. Just people are afraid to admit that they're not. I don't want to be normal. I don't want to be easy. I want to be hard.
A derp warrior, lol cleric, and chibi mage.
Yeah.
Never did play Fat Princess.
I love her run too.
It's like her head's about to just fall off of her neck at any moment.
As you level up, you're going to get different skills. Like this one, I can actually put a status effect on my weapons, which is cool. You also have there's like a lightning strike AoE you can do, and all of these different skills change depending on what weapons you have equipped, which is pretty neat as well.
So far, what do you think of the game?
Well, for free to play, it's amazing. I mean, it's free. You really don't have any right to complain.
Right.
But I also don't just prescribe to the fact that a fun game is fun, regardless of how much it costs. So we're gonna change the mage because I need to actually wreck some stuff. Warrior, I'm sorry. So now I got this little guy.
So would you seriously get into this game? Because I think
so.
That's where. So it's not on Steam. No.
No, it is not. It's 360 only.
Because that's something when you have to look at a free-to-play game is it might not be an investment in money, but it certainly is an investment in time
Well, I could definitely see this being a really fun game. Just to get your buds together with. I don't. This is certainly not the kind of game I would put up with people just cussing and yelling at me on.
Right.
It's not that amazing, but it is certainly a lot of fun for a downloadable title, for a free-to-play title, for any of those things. It is a lot of fun, and this stage is really still you're looking at the single-player experience, so you're not really seeing a lot of the advanced mechanics going on. Oh, I am just getting rocked. Maybe I should have picked normal mode.
So
I don't like to show a game where I just get stomped or I rock them. So
are you fighting with a fishbone for a sword?
You can understand why I'm not doing well. Oh my god!
Jeez, they have sticks and axes, and you have fish bones.
I know. I should have picked a better weapon. This is actually the best weapon I've got.
A fishbone is the best weapon you've got.
It is. Well, they start you pretty low. It's a rags to riches story.
Wow.
Oh, Jesus.
Man, you are just getting
Maybe we should
rocked.
roll back to normal. Well, we'll see how this goes. We'll move forward a little more. Maybe I'll just put a little more into it. Oh, God.
Jeez.
Oh, God.
You're getting rocked, man.
This is a game you play to just get destroyed. It's a masochistic game, apparently.
Oh, you poor unfortunate soul.
We're going to normal. Just make it a...
Yeah.
I don't even know that you can. How do you just quit? There you go, exit.
Yeah.
We'll go back to normal. Apparently, it's not a, hey, you've mastered normal, you feel pretty good about it, so now you can go to hard.
No, it's not.
No,
that.
it's not. It's probably one of those you beat the whole campaign and then you come back and play it again on hard.
Exactly.
So,
well, now what do you think I always found this an odd move because Microsoft and the 360 has been known, like, you're releasing a game, especially games that are free, like, okay, the example is games that are free on Steam, they charge for it here. Or downloadable content that's free on Steam, they charge for it here. So to have a free-to-play game, I found to be an interesting change in what is normally not a norm for Microsoft.
well, and this is a testament to exactly what we were talking about last week in the sense of, I don't think that they're like maliciously going, well, we don't want to do this because we need more money. It's more of a, we don't understand the downloadable market. So this is them going, you know what, let's try it. Let's see what it's about. Let's take a game that didn't take us a whole lot of money, didn't take us a whole lot of resources,
right?
And we can experiment with the free-to-play model because it's showing it's working in some.
Well, because
markets.
I do see for Microsoft that this is a way. This is almost, if you think about it, from a console perspective, this is like selling the system dirt cheap to get the money back in games.
Sure.
So as a free-to-play, it's getting the game for free or for dirt cheap to then get it back, hopefully, in downloadable content, in money, and people buying things and all that kind of stuff.
Well, and I could definitely see the desire to pay for maybe some extra like tickets to buy some
this
packs.
first-party MS.
It was actually developed in-house by a company called Toy Logic.
Yeah.
But yeah, Microsoft pretty much.
Microsoft
Yes,
Studios,
Microsoft. I would say this would be sort of a second-party release, if anything.
Just to confirm, you need to have an Xbox Live Gold membership to play online multiplayer.
I'm going to have to say yes,
Yeah.
That is probably definitely the case, as in the online multiplayer features are an Xbox Live Gold exclusive function anyway. So, without being able to confirm it, as I can't, like, just get rid of my Gold membership.
Just randomly get rid of it to see.
Let's just remove it.
Just for the people, man.
But I would say that you probably do. But you might be able to download it and still play the single player, which is still involved, and it's fun. Again, it's free. This is definitely one of those games they could toss on the box, like the back of the box in the corner. It's like free games right out the the door.
Yeah, they could do that.
Kind of how they hand out the Maw pretty much for anything. If you want a free copy of the Maw, you don't even have to have a reason. Just call Microsoft mad. I'm serious.
Really?
If you have a dispute with like your Xbox Live or any sort of claim, and almost quicker than giving you a free month of Live, they'll just go ahead and be like, well, how about would you like the Maw? Like,
Why is that a free?
I don't know. It's just like everybody I've talked to in all like situations where Microsoft's tried to smooth things over, they've always tried to give out the Maw.
The Maw.
Yeah, the Twisted Pixel.
Yeah,
game,
exactly.
Which is now a second-party developer for Microsoft, Twisted Pixel. So I actually had a really awesome conversation with the Twisted Pixel team about how Microsoft handles a very strange company like Twisted Pixel. And I don't know if they had to say it or not, but they definitely wanted it to be known that they let them do whatever they want. I mean, how do you try and tell Twisted Pixel how they do?
Yeah, I don't know how you would tell them.
Twisted Pixel just does whatever the heck they want. So, but yeah, so pretty interesting there. But this is a fun game. I think I would recommend it.
Well, I mean, to try it, yeah, it's free. I mean, that's the best way to try it. It's absolutely free.
And I haven't even gotten into a lot of the probably more complex.
Asking what is the maw?
The maw is
I'm actually going to get some more water. Would you
this
like,
is the interesting
would
thing.
you like something to drink, sir?
Oh, I'm fine. I still have my woodchuck. But
I'll be back soon.
the funny thing about Twisted Pixel games is that they typically break genres. They're really meant to be like games that really just push the genre boundaries. The Maw is a third-person isometric adventure game, I guess I would say, where you are a little alien and you have found this creature that eats. He's kind of like Kirby. He eats creatures and gains their sort of like attributes or their their attributes, and you use those to sort of solve puzzles. It's pretty fun. But Twisted Pixel is a third party. They were a third party Xbox Live, almost Xbox Live exclusive developer who actually put out a slew of really interesting games. Comic Jumper, Splosion Man is one that you may have heard of, and also The Maw. But they have actually since their creation, they've actually been picked up by Microsoft as a second-party developer, and they're awesome. Yeah, I'm not always a huge fan of their gameplay, but I just love that kind of creativity. They have a new game coming out, which its name escapes me, but it's actually a motorcycle beat-em-up game. It sort of takes the perspective of Road Rash, where you're kind of traveling down the road, and you actually have combos. You'll like flick people into the air, and your motorcycle will beat them up. It's crazy. Oh yeah, there you go. Okay, so you're up to speed now with Twisted Pixel. But this almost has kind of a Twisted Pixel feel to it, and I wouldn't have been surprised in the least if this was the kind of thing they would have made. Welcome back.
Hey. Welcome back.
So
Your dreams were your ticket out.
in this one specifically, I didn't really use a lot of the more advanced mechanics. You actually
Right.
have team-based attacks where you actually form like formations, like the flying V.
Form of bird. Oh, your princess is in another castle.
Bum bum bum.
Darn it. Well, you were talking about, too, that there are things in this game that you can buy that you can get normally. Let's see here. It's simply T. I'm tempted to download this free-to-play version of Dwarfs. It's just the core game arcade mode, and you have to pay for everything else, but I'm still tempted.
See, this is the thing that a lot of people have to worry about now with free-to-play is is it worth the investment?
Right.
And it's an investment of time because typically with these games, they will, if you want to take the free route, you are going to put in 10 times the amount of time, and it's a lot of grinding, So, yeah, it's sort of tough to decide, but I feel like this game
it's essentially how much is your time worth?
Sure.
Is $5 worth the time you're going to put into it or not?
God, Happy Stars, though.
200.
200 Happy Stars. Look at him breakdancing.
Wow.
He
He's happy.
He's like, I can't believe I won with this fish.
This bone
They
fish is
sent me
awesome.
on like a death mission.
Well, this reminds me too, like I've seen this with Battlefield especially, how if you don't want to play through the game, you can unlock all the guns, you can unlock all the perks instead of playing through multiplayer, which to me, even though that's not a free-to-play game, in a way, you're kind of cheapening the experience, because part of that deal, part of the reason you paid, an example for Battlefield, $60 for a game, is so you could get gameplay out of it, and experience out of it.
Mm-hmm.
Now you're paying for all that time and effort that you would put forth, that you would get these weapons, and it kind of just cheapens it, like, here's everything. And that's kind of where I have a problem, and with this, where I'd have a little bit of an issue, where I'd want to invest the time to do it, Because otherwise,
What's the point?
what's the point?
Sure. And I agree with you, but this game does have I don't know how far involved it is, but it does have a single-player campaign. So you do something you can go through. You have Comp Stomp, which is what I'm doing right now, where it's humans versus computers.
Okay.
So there's a lot of different modes. When you have something like League of Legends, which no offense to League of Legends at all, but it is pretty much the same style of the same mode over and over and over again. So there's lots of different forms of free-to-play. There really is. I mean, you have stuff like the Guild Wars style free-to-play, where it's you have the initial investment, but then the game is free infinitely, all the extra DLC and content and stuff.
I'm back, y'all, Talbane. Welcome back.
Welcome back, Talbane. We're just sort of talking about the free-to-play business model with gaming.
Yeah.
We're taking a look at the new game Happy Wars for the Xbox Live Arcade. It is a kind of a first in a lot of ways, and we're just sort of seeing how it works. I don't know if anybody wants to play with us.
No one wants to play with us?
It's okay. We'll just do a quick match.
There you go.
And we'll see what happens.
We'll see if someone joins us. I feel so lonely now.
It's true, yep. We're all by ourselves. Nobody wants...
need to smack him with something harder.
Oh, yeah, well, we can wait for a second. Odysseus going to play with us, so that's pretty cool. But, it's like your car, maybe? Oh, gosh.
I get. Well, I definitely think it's an interesting idea, but I mean, do we know the success of this game, or how many people have downloaded it, or?
Well, it just came out. It really just came out. I think it came out late last week. It didn't even adhere to the typical Wednesday schedule for Microsoft. But so it's really fresh. But they've had warnings, not really warnings as much as apologies, that they have had so many people trying to get in that the matchmaking is logged down, and they're adding more servers. So that's not too bad.
Well, it's one of those things too. The money people will put down for just really stupid indie titles, like Pick Your Nose or whatever the new crappy downloadable title is on there. They'll spend a couple bucks. Hey, give this for free. That's a better price.
We'll sit in here a little longer and see if somebody wants to join.
Okay.
I'm back for my quickie. Oh, goodness.
Whoa. Well, kidding.
Hey, JK, if you wanted to join us, I probably have a 48-hour card lying around here. Oh, and you don't have a 360.
That would make you have a 360 laying around here.
Yeah, we'll put it in the mail. Everybody just come back.
Just come on back.
Come on back. Oh my gosh, JK. We could do an entire cast on the Xbox Live indie games.
Oh boy.
I don't know if Brian definitely knows this. I don't know if you guys know, but I'm actually one of my guilty pleasures is collecting what are called kusage games, which is a Japanese term for crap games. They're games, and actually in Japan, they are intentionally bad games. Like there's a huge subculture for people buying these intentionally bad games. But I love collecting terrible games. Seriously, there's just something about. It's like watching bad movies. It's like anybody who could appreciate Mystery Science Theater 3000 could appreciate sitting down with your buddies, drinking beers and throwing crap at the screen, playing bad games. And if you guys remember some of the classic times where we would play games, we played like Dudes with Attitude and stuff like that. Just these terrible games. You're just like questioning why in God's name they ever decided this.
Define bad games.
Oh, well, games that their core mechanics are flawed, or they feature something in them that you could just universally find terrible. I mean, just a terrible, terrible gaming decision. Like Takeshi's Challenge, the Famicom title made by Beat Takeshi, creator of Most Extreme Elimination Challenge in Japan. He actually teamed up with, I want to say it was Taito. It sounds right. To create a game. This was during the Famicom era, and a lot of the titles that actually came out on Famicom and TurboGrafx were based on comedians or comedic troupes. You may remember JJ and Jeff, the game JJ and Jeff on TurboGrafx. If you don't, it's fine. It was actually, in Japan, a comedy duo game named Kaido and Ken.
Oh, can I know?
Yeah. Okay. Well, yeah. Well, it came here as JJ and Jeff. So we sell a lot of those. However, Takeshi's Challenge. Let me back up and sort of explain Takeshi for a second. He's a very vulgar man. He's very his shtick, his persona, is to just be as offensive and ridiculous as possible. From what I have heard from the development of this game, is he would actually come into these development meetings, these brainstorming sessions, just drunk, just completely gone, and he would throw out these outlandish ideas. You know, it sort of reminds me of you know, the Fable sort of concepts of coming up with these concepts that would never make it into the game.
Right.
They're so grandiose, like millions of hours of content and generations you can build and things like that. So those were the kind of ideas he would throw out. You know, imagine for a second that we could have a scene where you'd have to hit the button 10,000 times to move on. And he would throw these were his ideas, and he was paying for this game. Okay,
he was paying.
I mean, this was his game, you know. So anything he wanted, he got. So what ended up coming out was this game where you played as this character who had just got fired from his job, okay? And I'm going to explain the whole story. It's not even long at all. So you get fired from your job, and then you leave. And the only thing you can do is jump really high and beat people up. You can beat anybody up. You can beat up your boss. As a matter of fact, you beat up your boss enough, he dies, and the game ends. You beat him to death. Yeah. So the first thing you do is you go to the bar because you need to drink. You're pissed off because you got fired. So you go to the bar and you have to sing karaoke. Now with the Famicom, the second controller actually had a built-in microphone, so you actually had to sing the song. And the dialogue, your lyrics were actually in the instruction manual, so you had to sing along with the song. And if you failed,
pitch?
Oh yeah, and if you failed at singing the song, you had to start the entire song over, entire thing over.
Wow.
So you finish your song, and an entire bar fight breaks out. So you got to get the crap out of this. So you get out of the bar, and this man comes up to you and he says, "I have a treasure map. You know, I can promise riches to you." And so he hands you the treasure map, but there's nothing on it. Okay. So what he gives you a slight hint, and you find out that if you hold it up to sunlight, you can develop the map. You know, expose the map. So the next screen, you just have hold A to expose. And I'm not even kidding you. You have to hold it down for an hour plus in real time. And you can actually overexpose the map. So if you hold it down for too long, it doesn't work for you. So you can't just like tape the button down and come back later. Okay? So you expose the map. You find out where you need to go. So then becomes you can't get a plane. You actually get a hang glider to actually get there. And it goes into like a horizontal shmup. So you have this hang gliding session where you have to try and get there, and you're dodging things. But what you soon realize as you're going through this is that you're a hang glider. So you can go down, but you can't go back up. Oh my God! Did you see who actually finished that? His name was Takeshi.
Takeshi.
I think we're playing with Takeshi.
We are. Takeshi's a huge fan. Oh, and that is
that's our frame. Come on in. Okay, so you find out that you can't go back down. You have to, or you can't go back up. So you have to get through this entire event, only moving down when you absolutely have to. And guess what? If you fail at this, you go back to the karaoke scene.
Wow.
so almost like you're guaranteed you're gonna have to do that twice. So you get through that scene, and then you have what's a pretty run-of-the-mill platforming in this like ancient temple for you to get the treasure. It includes jumps that are literally pixel perfect. Now, a lot of people say this is a pixel perfect jump, but there's some leeway. Not the case here. I mean, this is literally a pixel perfect jump.
Wow.
You escape the place, the credits roll, and there's no ending. I mean, the game just abruptly ends when you walk out of this place. So you have to imagine there's like that kid who's been waiting, finally beats this game. Because you only had like one game back in the day.
Well, that's it. Yeah, it was Christmas.
So like the one kid who got Takeshi's Challenge, who hates his family now, finally finishes the game. And at the end, after the credits roll, one line appears on the screen, and it says, "What were you expecting?" Which has got to be the best thing ever. Like, seriously, you bought a game from Takeshi. Like, all he does is troll people. You know, like, what were you seriously expecting? Which is hilarious. And that was Takeshi's Challenge. And after the game had come out, like the call centers. You know how you used to be able to call in for hints?
Right.
It was funny because everybody was angry. They were calling because this game actually sold over 1 million copies. I'm not even kidding you. So it actually sold a bunch, and they were calling in and saying, "Well, what the heck? You know, why is this game so terrible? I want my money back." And Taito actually responded with claims that the original development team was dead. They actually were like, "Oh,
Sorry.
no, they died.
They died.
They died.
You can't do anything with that. Sorry.
So it was pretty funny. Yeah, we can back out. We can back out of this. Oh, I can invite you. Here you go.
There you go.
We'll invite you in. There you
He's
go.
up there. All right.
No, we invited him to the party. Sorry, I'll just select you to invite to the game. I'd invite you into the party. We can't really chat with you right now, though. Oh, we can't invite you into the game. What the crap? We'll just leave this game.
The game developers have been sacked.
Yeah, no, they actually made claims that some of them had died, though. Actually died. Like, so it was pretty funny. So those are the kind of games that I'm talking about when I talk about these legendary Kusage games. And we were kind of seeing a resurgence of those actually on the 360.
Are you on board for Cheetah Man?
Oh yeah, absolutely. And that's we actually did a big article on Cheetah Man when it was getting fundraised, and there was actually a lot of drama in our chat, in our forums, our message board. I'm sorry about that because everybody was saying, well, why would you support a game like this, and it's so ridiculous. And I'm saying, no. Like in this subculture, which is a perfectly accepted subculture, this is something that highly anticipated, And it would not be an intriguing subculture there's proof of it. Like, if Angry Video Game Nerd can exist and have it be so popular, if James Rawls could be so popular for what he does, it's obvious that people are interested in the Kusage sort of game style.
That sounds like me. Yeah, that's where actually Shawn was making a good example of the fact that there are kind of these really terrible movies that we watch and we love to watch, and Eric watches bad Godzilla movies and some of these bad Hammer horror films.
There are no bad Hammer films, by the way. I just want to go ahead and state that.
That's true. I'm sorry. I'm sorry.
Yes.
I don't know what I was thinking.
Okay. All right. I just want to get that out of the way.
By the way,
what
about Dracula's?
Talbot, we could do a whole night of watching classic.
What about Dracula 76?
They're all worth it. They're all worth it. All of them are worth playing.
All of them are worth playing. There's not a one that isn't. Oh wow, your team just go.
Yeah.
Just lined up there, man.
Yeah, no, JK, I agree. That's the thing about Kickstarter is it's if there's a market for it, it'll get funded, and it did get funded. I mean, I understand a lot of people were concerned about how what the money was going towards.
Yeah.
But reproduction is very expensive. I mean, it's not uncommon, even on forums like Racket Boy, some devout classic game enthusiasts who, I mean, they're not even really, they're trying to break even. And reproducing some of these titles, Terranigma, some of these titles that use extra, advanced chips or saving technology and stuff like that, it costs money. I mean, it really does cost money.
Talbot has over 60 Hammer films,
which is awesome. I can respect that quite a bit.
He's got quite a collection.
It typically, they'll be on any given night. Sarah, my fiance, and I, she'll be watching like something silly like Vampire Diaries or something, and there I am watching like classic Bela Lugosi movies or like Italian like Dario Argento movies or something.
77 minutes until bonus time.
I don't know what bonus time is, but don't you want to know? You see a time like it's counting down to bonus time.
I mean, what is bonus time? I don't know what this is.
We got kicked. I'm going to invite you again.
You got kicked?
I don't know why.
Oh, man. What the heck, man? What the heck?
A to punch. It's X to do your regular attack. Are you in the game? Because I didn't get in. There it is, Sue. But X is your regular attack, and then all the other buttons represent, like, your sub-abilities, like your...
Tired of bonus time with you to lightsaber.
Obviously.
He's obsessed with lightsaber. Every time, this is by the way, it's my cousin Josh. Every time we come to do a game, he's obsessed with lightsabers.
No, there's nothing wrong with that.
It's like lightsabers all the time.
I bet there's a lightsaber. You said to my singer, okay, yeah, you're in there. All right, good.
And he even defends the new Star Wars, too.
They're okay. They're okay. Think of all the sci-fi movies. Think of all the sci-fi movies that are out, and you're going to tell me that, like, Star Wars is completely unacceptable? Like the new ones?
Compared to the old ones, yes.
Okay, compared to an ideology that you got to sit on for like 20 years and cook into this fabulous, amazing fantasy where you're like Boba Fett's your home dog and like everybody is it's.
I can play an old game and play a new game and have just the same reaction, but opposite. I can say, look, I played this old game, it was good. Here's the sequel to it that's made 20 years later. Oh my, it's so much more amazing the original game was.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think it's just because I have rose-colored glasses. I love the old Star Wars.
Oh, I'm not saying you do, but I think that they are better than average. But they're not at the original trilogy's like level.
No,
by any means. But I think they're okay. Like especially the third one. I thought the third one was pretty good. Like all in all, I thought it was fine. But that's a story for another time.
It's another story, yes. Let us speak about now still the free-to-play concept. But I do think, talking about free-to-play, I do think this is an opportunity, if this works, for Microsoft, like I said, to extend the gravy train because they love the gravy train. I know Microsoft, as far as from a money, from a...
well, I don't know any company. The game session has been aborted because you lost connection to the other players. All right, we're giving this one more go here. This is ridiculous.
But yeah, I mean, to them, if this is a good model to make money while making games, I think it's something they're going to go with. And I think, to me, as far as how the model's been going in the PC world, with League of Legends, with a lot of other games, I think this is going to be successful. I mean, anybody on the 360, you can tell them it's free. I mean, how many people downloaded those Doritos games?
Exactly. You know, even more than that, I think that the best thing about free-to-play is it allows a small but devout community to continue to support their game, which means that you can have a smaller install base. Right. Your game doesn't have to sell 1 million copies because you can keep 50,000 people playing regularly and supporting you.
Yeah.
Which means that we can see less popular genres, we can see less popular gameplay mechanics be completely thriving in today's gaming oversaturated gaming market, which is awesome. It's kind of how we've seen the rise again of adventure games. These click and point and click adventure games. But really, we've seen it because of these episodic style releases. It's a lot easier for you to swallow a 4-hour little adventure in a series that you pay $20 and get a new game every month or so. That's a really, really great model because who is going to want to? All right, I'm going to sell you a $50 point and click adventure game, and I have to do it based on today's standards, which means it's going to be 50 hours long, and you're going to spend forever just pointing and clicking. Like, there's no way. But so if we're going to do this core mechanic, that's what we're trying to do, Erdasu, but we're having a hard time getting in.
What's going on here?
Well, I'm sorry I made you download the game, but we are just having a hell of a time getting in here. Let me see if I can find a way. Co-op mode.
73 minutes till bonus time, by the way.
I know, we're so close. Let's see if we can get in
I
there.
spit my adventure games, not swallow.
It's just that you can see how that mechanic, like imagine a free-to-play, well, that's probably not a great example with point-click adventures, but you can see how these these game companies are having to develop or adopt new models to sort of...
Yeah, well, to keep up with the technology, because that's what's happening. The only reason we have the free-to-play model is because of the technology that we are afforded with the internet, with downloadable content being easily accessed via broadband, which that's a whole other subject to get on. The fact is that the United States, come on, guys, we are like on the back end curve of internet speeds.
Sure, yeah, no, we definitely are, and that's gonna change. I mean, we'll all grow and adopt. This again is all still in its infancy. I mean, technology moves so quickly. You can't. We're gonna look back. I mean, think about entire eras that we're talking about 10, 20 years of technology that just gets like a paragraph in the history books anymore. So this will be just a small step in the grand scheme of things. But the free-to-play model is definitely a way to take these unique styles of gameplay and give them life, give them
a life that they wouldn't have before.
Sure.
But in that, do you take a risk because yeah, if it doesn't take off, you've put all this cost into it, and it definitely didn't pay off at all. I mean, you really lost your hat on the whole deal.
You know, the funny thing about that is, and this is a great example based off of a game I really like, is, yeah, I'm not in the game yet either. It's just kind of just like looking at me. But, like, take a game like Monaco, okay, which is a great game. We've covered it a lot.
Yep.
At the latest PAX, they actually sold their shirts out of pay what you want. They never even came up with a cost, okay? There was no preconceived notion of how much those shirts cost. And believe it or not, the majority of the people who bought those shirts all paid $20 a shirt. $20 a shirt. Now, you go to PAX expecting free shirts.
Right.
You go to PAX expecting $10 pretty cool premium shirts. But given the capability to put it in the buyer's hands to say, what do you think this is valued at? Sure, they probably got some people who pulled out like 50 cents like a smartass and bought it, you know. But believe it or not, the majority of the people find
well,
value
then you
in it.
also know if the average was 20, there's some people who paid 30,
Exactly.
40.
Yeah, he said that he saw it. Happy Wars is not meant to be played online
Happy
right
Wars
now.
is not meant to be played. Maybe this is what they're talking about.
Exactly, yeah. They're just having a hard time connecting these sessions. Yeah, and this is exactly what you're seeing done now is, you know, I know a lot of Castlevania players of Harmony of Despair that were going, what the heck? Why are we not getting more download content? I was one of those people. I could have put another $50, $60 into Castlevania Harmony of Despair.
Yeah.
Easy. I'm waving the money going, please, God, will you take my money and put out more content? This is not all the Castlevania. Like, you've done 11 stages. Like, you haven't even put enough bosses for one game yet, you know? And how many characters there could be.
It's like Battlefield 1943. I feel the exact same way. There's 3 maps, and I have over 300 hours in that game combined. And
Exactly.
I still would say, please, you have this, and I think it goes back to what you said. It's this huge installed user base.
Mm-hmm.
So naturally, why not take advantage of that with offering more content as the days go by? So,
well, let's take a comparison for Battlefield 3, okay, and Battlefield Heroes. Battlefield Heroes is an interesting title because it's free to play.
right.
It was one of the first of the main free-to-play shooters. And believe it or not, it's still thriving and successful, mind you, on a marginally small to average-sized user base. And I say that as being around 15 to 20,000 users at a time, and that's worldwide. Needless to say, though, that the model still works. You know, so
You don't have to be selling millions of games.
No,
You don't have
not
to
at
sell
all.
Hundreds of thousands of games.
So you take a game. You stated before that. What about this gamble? You know, what about this gamble that? Well, maybe it is. It's hard to expect this to be successful. We're pouring all this money in, but then you got to think with your capabilities of advertising nowadays with $0. I mean,
yeah,
you
Facebook,
can,
social media,
exactly.
literal word of mouth.
How hard would it really truly be to get 10,000 people interested in your game?
That's true, especially if you had the backing like somebody at Microsoft or EA with Battlefield. To just put it out there and say, I mean, even if they just do a tweet and say, hey, all our Twitter followers, check out our new free-to-play game, blah, 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 blah. You know, at least, you know, even if 10% of those people just downloaded the game and tried it out, you could have yourself a pretty decent following by the end of the week.
Sure, yeah, and even using adopting the new Steam Greenlight, mechanic where you can actually throw your game out there and say, hey, you don't even have to put money into this. We just want you to commit to the idea that this is a product that you would be interested in. You know, how simple is that? I would practically checkmark everything. I mean, I'm at least interested in any product. I mean, I'd like to see it, you know. I'm never going to write anything off because that product has gotten this far because there is some sort of purpose for it.
Right.
So, needless to say, you know, Steam is one of the largest advocates of free-to-play. Hell, they took one of their core games, Team Fortress 2, and has seen it incredibly thrive. And off of what? Hats. You know what I mean? It's a hat-based
true.
economy.
And that's what's funny then. So then you go back, kind of retroactively, here we're playing a free-to-play game, and here you look at a game like Team Fortress on the Orange Box collection on the Xbox, and it has never been updated, it has never been changed. I can still do some of the broken stuff that I could do the first time the game came out, yet if it had the same kind of updatability, free-to-play concept that now Team Fortress has on Steam, Microsoft would be making money off of it.
Give it a shot for a little while. See if you can play for a little bit, and we'll try again in another 5-10 minutes or so.
We're gonna load it back up. We're just we're still playing it. We just on the big screen right now. So
Sure. So,
but see, that's what I find interesting. If they could have done that, how could have Orange Box been so much different with Team Fortress 2?
well, it's just a matter of the fact that with a console, these systems are built and they don't really change for the entire time frame of the
Right.
generation. So you saw the adaptation of free-to-play, the adaptation of free-to-play in the middle of this generation.
Right.
Well, these systems really just aren't built for it. I mean, they don't. As you can see right now, with us trying to get through Happy
Right.
Wars, I mean,
And microtransactions and all that stuff, they're not really built for that. They're built for chunks of download content in bite-sized pieces, not little itty-bitty microtransactions.
exactly. This is a free-to-play game, but this requires a gold membership. I am paying to play online, and this is the sort of service I'm getting. And to the untrained eye, or should I say, to a quick judgment, you would say this is complete utter bullshit. Xbox Live Gold is totally not worth it. What the hell is this point?
Right.
What's the point? What's the problem with everything? But that's why we're seeing between the Wii, PlayStation 3, 360, completely different business models, okay? That's not happening because somebody's got a different idea. I mean, we're all just taking shots in the dark and seeing what works, you know? When, by the time we get into the next generation, and even by the end of this generation, we're already seeing a better understanding of this. And free-to-play, I think, has a lot to learn. It's a lot of growing to do.
Well, you know, because it's such a... I mean, who would have thought League of Legends, which is just a mod, would have grown into what it is today? I mean, I was reading up on some of the stats. I'm not even into the game, but the stats are staggering. As somebody who knows, and again, not into Halo, but I know the stats of Halo, they were just talking about the hours that have been logged in since... I forgot what it was, but it was some stupidly huge number of all the hours that have been logged on into all Halo games online since its inception, and hours logged in a week of League of Legends. And it's just...
Aridasu, I'm not necessarily just talking about actual software. I'm not actually talking about the front end. I'm talking about the entire business model itself. They're just not prepared for that sort of thing. I mean, it takes a lot. It's not just a simple switch you can flip.
Well, yeah, because the architecture is completely different. From what Steam does to what Microsoft, Sony, and Nintendo do, it's completely different because all three of them are doing different things in different ways. So
well, and Aridasu, you're seeing the proof itself. It's very obvious that their systems are not capable of handling.
Well, that's what we're. As you can see, the reason we're in full screen is because we're still sitting here.
We've been sitting here this whole time getting kicked out of matches.
Yeah, game sessions.
We've been kicked out almost constantly. That's why we're not even playing right now. We have been unsuccessful of getting into any of this stuff. And it's not just Microsoft that's having this problem. I mean, this is a situation all across the board.
Well, so really the infrastructure just isn't built for this. That's the problem.
No. But even more so, it is. This requires all sorts of different sort of techniques. I mean, you're talking about a game that is literally built for the ground up from network code, and a lot of download titles really don't have that. I mean, think of how many major download titles that are almost solely multiplayer based. There's not very many of them, especially on Xbox Live.
JK says technically there is a Switch, but it has the startup time of Commodore.
Right. I mean, all of this is definitely speculation because they're not going to come forward and say, we don't have any fucking idea what we're doing. I mean, this is not going to happen. This is not going to happen.
Well, from a business standpoint, that'd be stupid. Why would you say that to your...
Retarded.
Yeah.
Nash, we are attempting to play Happy Wars.
Yes.
We're looking at the new free-to-play Xbox 360 title and sort of discussing the free-to-play system and sort of theories on
well, now and moving into consoles from what was exclusively a PC-based kind of idea. It doesn't have to do with being prepared as much as that they want to streamline the experience. The amount of money earned through free-to-play games isn't a huge concern for them.
Well, I mean, I guess I agree and I sort of disagree on that notion because if it wasn't the amount of money, then they wouldn't be worth it. I mean, they've looked at the model and they've said, we can make a profit off of this. It's not...
Well, Microsoft wouldn't invest money into putting something like this out and putting their studio name behind it if they didn't think that they could make money off of it.
Yeah, it's definitely the case of that.
And that's why I still go back to the fact that I'm so shocked that it's Microsoft. I mean, even Sony doing something like this would be more understandable because, like I've said before, Microsoft has been so much about having money up front, charging all these money for updates. I mean, I'm not saying they're a money grubbing company, but they very much want to see the dollars before they make you game and holler.
Sure,
you know
sure.
I mean.
And Ernesto, going back to the concept that I was trying to get across, and I guess I incorrectly sort of described in saying that it's hard for them to change that sort of thing in the middle of a generation, is because in a business, it's hard to do that sort of transition without something significantly changing. It seems like in a business setting that when you get a whole new console is when you sort of think you can really refresh your mind
Right.
and go, we're going to have an entirely different perspective here, not only from a business standpoint, but also from a product standpoint. And it really does. It does take that. I wish it didn't. I wish it didn't. You could see evolution on a game console. But seriously, what have we really seen evolve on the Xbox 360 during its entire time, its entire existence?
Besides the front end and the GUI, really nothing.
And that's just nothing. So I mean, it's and that we've seen that both with PS3, 360, and the Wii. And again, I challenge you to find nearly any console that's had that sort of growth during its lifespan. And I'm not going to accept the Sega CD or 32X and that sort of notion. That is
an add-on.
That is definitely sort of in that vein, but it was very unsuccessful. The Kinect I would agree as well, is a very tacked-on experience.
Yeah.
And it's not as integrated as it could be. I mean, all integration that it has is really just taking the same thing you could do with a controller. And the idea was with the Kinect and with the Wii was to do things you could not do on a controller.
Right.
And by waving at the screen to move a menu, you're doing the same thing you can do with a controller.
So it doesn't really serve a better purpose. If it doesn't make it better or more fun or more
then it's just
rewarding,
an add-on. It's
yeah,
not
an
a truly integrated experience.
But see,
and
that's
what we're
where-
talking about is free to play
Right.
as an integration.
Right.
Like a full integration, which is what these developers have to do when they build a free-to-play game from the ground up. Which again leads back to our point of a game that starts as a free-to-play is very different from a core mechanic than a game that becomes free-to-play.
Like Star Wars.
Like Star Wars.
Let's see here. Older consoles couldn't change out because of the billion different technical reasons.
Well, and that's true. And so you did see them to make attempts to change the technology through physical means, not by software or digital means. But you can't. No, the thing about it is, though, Erdesu, is that you can't expect that. If you're going to build a game that you need 100,000, 200,000, God knows millions of people to buy, you cannot build the game and expect the buyer to all have those upgrades. You know what I
Right.
mean? That is why developers from the beginning with the Xbox 360, they had to build their games with small hard drives in mind because there were smaller
there were
Xbox
limits.
360s.
Originally, the limits for Xbox Live Arcade games. I imagine there probably wouldn't be games like this available if they didn't upgrade those, because originally it was, I think it was
200 megs.
200 megs.
200
That's it.
megs, and the first game I think to break that was Symphony of the Night.
Symphony of the Night, because it was a PlayStation game, and they had to, and even at that had to be a special exception. They didn't actually raise the technical limit. They would allow it, but you still had to make a special exception. So yeah, that's not something to where it was just completely modular, just switchable and upgradable at the flick of a wrist. So.
Well, on these things, it's not to say that they can't. From a technical standpoint, you totally can do all of these things. You could change all of these features, but you can't expect all of the buyers, the consumers, to have those
Right.
changes. I mean, how many people are still playing on modern consoles with absolutely no internet connection? You know what I mean? So to the normal serious gamer in a regular city,
Right.
they're going to go, this is ridiculous that this game, why would somebody not be online? Why can't this game
Well,
have-
because that's a norm for people like you and I, but
But not
yeah,
for
again,
everyone.
until
and
it
a large
becomes-
margin, actually.
And that's why actually Eric and I were talking about this the other day. That's why the Wiimote works,
Mm-hmm.
and why the Move and the Kinect do not, because it was created and installed and began at the system's genesis.
Exactly.
So everybody had it. Everybody started at that same goal point.
Mm-hmm.
So when Wii Motion Plus came out, and it was just a natural extension of the Wiimote, but it was only an addition that only made games such as Skyward Sword and other games give it more particular movements. Even still at that, I didn't feel like it was a huge step. It was just, okay, it was a little extra, but yeah, you can't, add-ons and all that stuff, I don't really see as, like Shawn said, a really viable, because what's going to happen, because the other thing is, too, the difference that you will see, that is, you can see it even now. Brian, fanboying for Nintendo, I will say, if you look at what Nintendo's doing with the Wii U, look at what they're doing with the ability to play old Wii console controller and accessories.
Mm-hmm.
On the next Xbox system and the next Sony system, now, of course, they've talked about Kinect 2.
Well, Kinect will be integrated.
And Kinect will be integrated.
Absolutely.
But I don't see it having the same kind of day of usability as the Wiimotes are going to have with the Move, if it does go to the next Sony console or the Kinect 2.
See, I actually disagree.
Really?
I think that the reason that we saw the Kinect halfway through this generation was so it would not be such a foreign idea when it is core integrated into the new Xbox 360, the 720, I should say.
Right.
And Microsoft is no stranger to this. I mean, the original Xbox and the Xbox Live functionality, I mean, they constantly came back in the red on that. They came back. It was never a profitable market, but the idea was that they were establishing the concept.
Right. They're at the forefront of the idea of consoles and online gaming, so that for the next generation. But see, I don't see the Kinect. I don't think I'll ever see the Kinect as an investment that's going to pay off in the future.
Well, not for this generation, because it's not properly integrated. But when you take and this is the same reason that I somewhat defend Windows 8, is in the concept of it being a tablet operating system, is that when you can start and with that mindset of everything can be 100% integrated because everyone will be at the same baseline. Everybody who buys a new Xbox is going to have a Kinect. So we can have all of this core integrated compatibility and software that uses it. Right now you can't. And that's why you're seeing these games that do have it. They're going, okay, well, what's our install base? It's fractional. And even more so, what kind of games are they into? You really can't pinpoint it. I mean, all they want is Jillian Michaels games? I mean, then you see a game, you see these core games that are trying to come out, but they can't get the budget. They can't get the funding. Like Rise of Nightmares or whatever, the first person.
Yeah.
It was the concept was perfectly fine, but you could tell they didn't have the money backing it because they don't have the install base. They can't guarantee the type of sales. You had to have been happy if you got 100,000 copies sold of that game, because you take probably 2-3 million people who own a Kinect. Like, how many of those people would probably want Rise of Nightmares?
Well, because what you're doing, you're essentially going from a niche to a niche to a niche to a niche. So you're going to a guy who baseline owns a 360, small it down to someone who owns a Kinect, someone who's a fan of horror games, and who can also be okay playing it that way. I mean, yeah, you're funneling it down so small that the availability, the list of viable players for that game are going to be small to nil.
Exactly, and that is where, to bring this back, is where the free-to-play model can really thrive.
Yeah, I agree.
Because you can establish these free-to-play models and say, hey, you know what? The smaller you are, just have a louder voice. Pay with your back your concept, back your love for this with your money.
See, that's what I
and people will do that.
If they do it with the Kinect.
Think of your favorite movie. Think of your favorite franchise, your favorite food. Think of anything and say, would you be willing to pay a little more if it meant that you could get more faithfully done by the original team or somebody with good intentions? You'd say, hell yeah. Everybody's going, oh my God, why are we not getting a good version of this or a good this? Why can't we get this? It's because they have to try and market it to the masses. Right. They have to try and get 3 million copies sold of it. But instead, maybe we want a classic 2D Metroid game. Okay, I'd pay $100 for a classic 2D Metroid game. A game like Super Metroid? I mean, I don't know anybody who probably wouldn't, especially the core Metroid fans. So now we've essentially just bought another copy of the game. It's like we bought 2 copies of the game, We will then make the requirement of the amount of people that are needed for this to be a successful product and shrink it down. So
JK says, most of my favorite franchises are dead in the West. To say I'm a little bitter is an understatement.
Exactly, JK, and that is why, a lot of hardcore Eastern-loving game fans will import all their titles. And we will pay $80-$90 easy to get this game. It was like $40 on the stands, They don't, it sold marginally well. I mean, I can tell you right now, they got about 3 months to announce Bravely Default for the U.S., or I'm freaking down. I'm gonna get it. I'm gonna buy myself a copy of it. And that's the thing. But
and Under Defeat is a game that, as far as for what it is to the masses, is not a $39.99 game in any sense of the word. But they're selling it at that price because they know we're only going to sell to our core constituents. We need them to pay a little bit more to make it worth our while. So it is kind of the beauty and the pain of being a rabid fan of a certain genre, a certain game. If it needs to be out, then you might need to pay a little bit more money.
I agree, JK. I'd love a Gundam game that was faithful to the style that would be good for a Gundam. A Gundam style a game. But the thing is that these games are being produced, they're being published by developers who are still in this archaic mindset. They're in this mindset of brick and mortar stores. We have to do all of this crap to get it out on the shelves, to get it into the masses. When in all actuality, they could sell it on their online store for whatever price, and the hardcore fans that feel like it's been done justice are going to buy it.
And it's just like you with One Piece. Made the perfect example. It's a new One Piece game.
Kaizoku Musou is a great game.
It came out, but if you wanted it here in the States, you could get it. But how much was it?
It was $50 download.
$50 download.
And you know what? I would have paid twice that. I probably would have paid twice that for a good One Piece game in America.
Yeah.
I probably would have paid that.
So, but there's a case there again. A company allowing you to get a game that normally you couldn't have in any way. It would have never been able to come out on disc, but not having to sacrifice any of their profits and any.
There it is. So I've seen that Gundam title, and it is awesome. I have seen the arcade machines for that.
Oh, really?
It is so good. Stream gone. Stream gone.
What?
Are we gone?
No, we're not gone. Because you got JK's crazy.
Are you fooling us?
JK's messing with us.
He has got to be messing with us.
Why are you messing with us, JK? It's up for me. No, it's good again.
Okay.
Something happened.
Maybe your internet had a little stroke.
Your internet had a little fart. Internet had a little.
Just gonna.
It farted, but a little turtle head poked out.
A little bit there.
Wait a second.
Let me readjust.
I gotta readjust.
Needless to say that, what we're really discussing is then you can take the free-to-play business model, and you could say, look, okay, the core gamers are going to buy all our character packs. They're going to buy all our costumes. They're going to buy the stuff that gets us the money.
Right.
And then we might actually get 5%, 10% of the market that would not have tried our game.
Right.
That might be interested in it because it's free to play. I can think of a bunch of games that I've been interested in or I've gotten into because they've been free to play or they've been in a pay what you want.
See, and that's where I come from a very console centric based. I don't play a lot of PC based games, so this would be an interesting transition for me because I've never really been into the free to play market all that much really.
But they've typically, and it's funny you say that. You say the free to play market. And that's almost more because they all tend to have the same style of gameplay, the same genre. You usually find it as like the Korean style MMO, where it's if you don't pay for the 40% experience boost, you're going to spend the next 50 hours gaining one level.
Right, exactly.
Or you get the MOBA style games, which is really sort of gains its money off of its competitive atmosphere. New tribes. That's the thing, though, is you say it's catering non-fans. I would like to say from all the people at PAX over the last 2 years, and from the few friends that I have that spent many, many a night just skiing out there in Tribes 1, that I think the new Tribes is very faithful. I think it gets all the main mechanics right, and yes, it does use the free-to-play model. I know, how well would a new Tribes game do if they just put it out on the shelves? How many people know what Tribes is? I mean, seriously. So when you put it as a free-to-play game, you say you're going to get these people who are going to come in who don't understand it. They're not. Most first-person shooter fans nowadays who are playing regularly and competitively have come on long since Tribes.
Oh yeah.
So you're gonna get these adopters.
So now, how is this going to work? Because most of the free-to-play is in multiplayer gaming. It's a multiplayer online. While this Happy Wars and others do have a one-player mechanic, how would that work with a typical one-player adventure title in the sense of the free-to-play mechanic? Would we only be stuck to multiplayer?
I think that like a single-player adventure, like a point-and-click or something like that. I think that's why that would probably do better with the pay what you want sort of mechanic. And I'm telling you, if the the indie game bundles are any sort of testament, they're going to be the guys who pay a penny, and you're going to even lose money off of the transaction. But the majority of the people are going to truly pay what they think it's worth.
Those humble indie bundles, those actually did pretty well, didn't they?
They make fantastic, and they do great, and the money is getting split so many ways. Like 5 developers, the creators of the indie bundle, like the whole thing. You have all the different 3 different charities that are involved, and everybody. They wouldn't continue to come back to it if they weren't making anything off of it.
I like the idea of paying when you die.
Paying when you die.
Paying when you die.
I've actually played some indie titles that have taken the concept of like death is permanent. One game that I really enjoy. It's not a great game, but it really gets you thinking. And I understand this isn't exactly what you're going for with this, Saradasu, but I think it's an interesting mechanic to bring up. There was one title that I had played, and it was just a download off of probably the independent gaming source. Right. And you start the game, and all you have is a sniper scope, straight down the sniper scope, and there's a guy tied to like a post, like a firing squad sort of thing, big slate wall behind him, and the only thing you are told is that you are there to execute this man. Okay, you don't know the crime that he committed, you don't know what he has done, you have nothing about this person at all.
You're just told by your higher-ups.
Mm-hmm.
He is to
That's
die.
it. It's like one line of text. There's no explanation. And if you kill him, it's permanent. No matter how many times, now granted it's probably just thrown in your cookie somewhere in your registry, but every time you load that game, you just load back to that man dead over there at the other side. And it's funny because it's kind of introspective at that point. Like you were told, you just did what you were told. So people might justify it that way. But it's also like you don't know what he did, so like why do you have the right to have killed this person? It's interesting. It sort of gives off that dilemma, of the moral dilemma, which is interesting. But the idea that you pay when you die is sort of funny because that's a mechanic people don't get in games. You die, you just try again. Maybe there's a penalty, but the penalty is usually appropriate. But what about these games where you have to treasure every credit, like you're in the arcade?
Yeah,
when people are in the arcade, they handle a game very differently. I guarantee you that if you're playing Pac-Man at home and you go to the arcade and play Pac-Man, your deaths
much differently.
Yeah, you play very differently because all of a sudden it is a gamble of your life. It is. I need to stretch this money as much as I can, even if it's a quarter. It's a freaking quarter. What can you even do with a quarter anymore? But I swear to God, if I don't make it to 75,000 points and get an extra life, I am going to kill somebody.
If I don't get a replay on a pinball machine, I'm like, I failed.
Yep.
I like this. I like the way Overgrowth and Mindgrab does it, which is buying the game while it's unfinished. The earlier you buy it, the cheaper it is.
And that's true. But then you get games that don't really they don't deliver. There was a zombie title. Oh my goodness, I really wish I remembered the name of it. But they did the same sort of mechanic. And then all of a sudden they came out and said that they got their apartment broken into and all of the source code was taken and they had no backup of it. They had absolutely no backup. And if you guys know what I'm talking about, jump in with the name. It's just totally left my brain right now. But all these people who had invested in this title, like what do they get now? Now the whole game is delayed. They've got like this old version of the game. Exactly. How does the source code get taken? And why have you never? And how have you never backed it up? Like,
that's
how do
weird.
What are you doing where somebody steals 2 laptops and all of this that thousands of people have invested in is gone? Or what about the new Kickstarter title, Haunt, that had been fully funded at $29,000 and then two of the two programmers on the team get a job at Google and leave. Now you have like the art director and like the sound guy, and they just, what do? How do you keep making the game?
Have them come in for like part-time work, maybe. Like, take a break from Google and work on this game.
Yeah, like no, they just were done. So we had the first time that what everybody was worried about happening on Kickstarter happened. Is okay. Well, what if a product doesn't deliver? Now they handled it very well. They did. They said one of the guys there said, we've already he went into the development. He says, you know what, this money, like we have everything bad that could have happened, and I believe it. If half your team just leaves, it's not going well.
Yeah.
Especially after you were funded. They said nearly all the money is gone. They said, but we are going to shop this game. They said we will find somebody to help us finish this game. But even more so, if any of you want a refund on your donation, you can keep whatever gifts we've given out, and we will give you a full refund on your donation. Now, that is surely going to be an isolated case. I'm sure there will be plenty of them that will just pack up shop and leave. But then you have these other companies like this Project Zomboid. Project Zomboid is the name of the game, and it actually has a pretty high following, and it came right off the coattails of Minecraft. It's been in development for quite a while, and that's what they told us. That's what they honestly told us, was we don't even have the current build. They said the build that they have left now is like almost a year old, and they're going to have to redo the whole build, and it left these hardcore fans on the forums every day, like, what are they supposed to do? They paid for this game, and do you believe them? Do you really believe that these guys have been building this game that have all this money that they've made, lost the two laptops that have all of it on there?
I had to say I find that odd coming from you. I find that kind of cynicism.
I'm not saying that I believe that. I know what you're going for, but what I'm telling you is I didn't say that I said that.
Oh, okay.
I'm saying that that's what these people are saying. They find it hard to believe. I don't care. I really don't care.
What do you think?
You know what? Let's say you and I get together and make a game, okay?
We're gonna make a game?
Sure.
What's it gonna be?
We're gonna make a game. It doesn't matter. It could be a zombie game, okay? All right.
I don't want to do a zombie game.
Whatever. Well, it could be whatever.
Want to do something different?
What do you want it to be? This is an example. You're taking too long.
I know, but I really want this to be a good game if we're gonna make one. Like, I'm thinking about, like, what about, like a reboot of, like, Sunset Riders, like a sequel to Sunset Riders.
Okay, so we're doing a new Princess Tomato and the Salad King.
Moonrise Riders.
Okay, that's what we're making, all right? So, how do we know that these guys that are building this game aren't just like you and I? Like, we don't have any game experience. Maybe we're, like, taking some college coding classes or something, and we have a good idea. We don't know anything about that. You know what happened after the Project Zomboid stuff went down? The main guy, one of the main guys, the most vocal guy on Twitter, went and got plastered, okay? And then everybody is on these forums and on his Twitter just blasting it. Just, you stupid assholes, how the hell do you lose the code? Like the shit we're talking about. And he exploded, just cussing at his fans, cussing at these people, because they have misguided anger. He has misguided anger. And they don't have a PR guy. It's like three guys in an apartment building who just fucking got all their stuff stolen, you know? And that is the reason why I believe it's true. Because if it wasn't true, why would they just light everything on fire? Because that's pretty much what they did. No, they got their shit stolen, and then all their boundaries. Well, they continued getting the system back up to where it was, and at this point, I know they far surpassed that point. Needless to say, though, that is a core example of these games that just, like, how do they commit? How can they follow through, you know?
Princess Tomato and the Sunset Riders. Oh, I like
Princess Tomato and the Sunset Riders.
I would play that game. I would definitely play that game. So,
but I know, how do you not have the backups? But these are just, how do we know these aren't just normal people? Like, that's the world we live in now, is a small company can have a huge, huge voice. All it takes is for Reddit to pick it up for like a day, and you're going to have like 30,000 people looking at your game, you know? And it's very likely that they went, oh my God, we are in totally over our heads. You know, that doesn't seem unrealistic, because that's the viral world we live in. And so what I'm saying is that, again, you know, I like the idea of this pay what you want, and I like the idea of that. But you have to understand that it's giving smaller people an opportunity to get a piece of the pie, and with that comes the woes. You know, how big is this toy logic company that made Happy Wars? You know
Never
what I
even
mean?
heard of them before.
Exactly. So these people they're amateurs. It's not even indie; it's amateurs, and I mean that they're taking all the good and all the bad.
Well, but it's like amateur and indie filmmakers, the same exact thing, except the difference being that with a film, you're not really involved like you are into a beta of a game or into the early stages of development of a game. You know, a film, it's made, it comes out, you watch it, it's done. Whatever it is what it is. Whereas these games, people invest, like you said, a lot of time with the betas.
Sure.
And I've been involved in betas and stuff where, yeah, you do.
Eridesu, let me elaborate a little more on the situation. I tried to give a vague description, you know, bring it a little, the short story, okay? But realistically, think of it this way, okay? So you have a team that is very vocal. Everything that's happening, the thing they ate for lunch is going up on Twitter, okay? So imagine this. More than likely, they don't all live together. I mean, they probably, a lot of times, like Team Meat, they don't even live in the same state, you know?
Right.
But there'll get times when they get together and they jam and they work. All right, so you're a devout fan. You know they live like a block away from you. Like the main guy lives a block away from you. And he tweets, "Oh, we're getting together. We're gonna have a whole weekend, and you know, they all flew in jam session." Okay, well, how do we know it wasn't like a devout fan, some crazy guy who's like, "I'm gonna steal the latest build of Project Zomboid," and so they come marching in, and everybody's got their laptops. They went out for shawarma, and bam, everybody's shit gets stolen. Okay. If you've seen the indie game, the movie, you know, like even a game like Super Meat Boy by Team Meat, that stuff was all on like one computer. It was like if that game wasn't successful, they didn't live. They didn't get. Right. There was no more food. Like these people don't have the money to pay for like huge backups and stuff like that.
Well, that's the thing. You look at, and I'll say this as a graphic designer at a lot of professional companies. I've worked at 4 professional companies. People that you would look at and go, oh, these guys have it together. And you look at their backups for these really valuable graphics, data, information, and you would go, my home computer, I back up better than these people do. But it's just because the fact that the perception is because they are developers of game X or they are the creators of game B. There is no, I mean, these are still people, and they're just trying to get along just like you are when you're doing some kind of video project and you lose information, your hard drive crashes. I mean, I think people have a wrong impression of these guys.
And that does extend for even further into a lot of these developers that we put on a pedestal. You know, we put a lot of these third-party publishers and developers, we're going, oh my God, how can you screw up? Look at a company like Hudson. They were probably down to like 20 people. And you're going, how the hell can you do this, you know? And Natsume, how big do you think Natsume is?
I understand, you know, they say, but use Git or Google Drive or, you know, but that, I mean, you're talking about in a perfect world, these are people you have to understand too, and I can understand their pain. When I'm working on graphics or music or anything related to Substance TV, I'm telling you, I have a really good file structure folder on my computer. But when I'm in the middle of work, my desktop looks just like a war zone. I mean, after a few hours of work, I look at my desktop and I'm going, oh, where does this all go now? Because again, the creative flow when you're doing this stuff and you're working on it, it doesn't follow this rigid, you know, line of thinking that everybody, you know, your right and left brain thinking. So
well, and that's coming from somebody. You said you've worked for multiple professional companies,
yeah.
So you've already been cultured, at least to a certain extent, on how to handle that. We're talking about these guys. They more than likely the most experience they have is probably some stupid like Dragon Ball Z games on Newgrounds. I mean, like, these guys aren't pros by any means, and it should be easy to draw that conclusion based on the amateur nature of that they didn't have an up-to-date backup by even like a year's standard. Like the last time they had backed up was they had gone back so far. And the statement they made about the time it would take for them to get back up to that point is most likely not true because they have done that before. A lot of the mechanics, everybody, you know, you do something a second time, it's always going to happen faster. So and they did. They got it back a lot faster than they should have. But you know, this is getting a little off topic on the point that we were trying to get across. But what I'm saying is that we are seeing a lot of these smaller companies that are able to use this free-to-play and pay-what-you-want model to hone in on a smaller market. But the other side of the nature is that you are going to come with some very amateur woes. You know, you're going to come up with these problems where they're like, look, we don't even have the money to we can't rub two pennies together.
But the point is that as consumers of these titles, we need to have a better perception of who these people are instead of putting them on the same level as, say, a AAA developer with the resources, the time, and even the wisdom that a AAA developer would have in creating these games. And that's the problem, I think, with a company like even Team Meat. How can I say this? We almost give them too much credit.
Yeah, they made sold over 1 million copies of Super Meat Boy. Okay, they just recently launched it on Linux platform, but that isn't to say that they're like pros. I mean, again, if you've watched Indie Game the movie, if you've kept an eye on their interviews, you can tell right away that they are still very rough around the edges, and they are the PR team. You want to talk about their accident report team. You want to talk about their human relations. It's all of that is all just them. It's the two of them.
Well, and they're saying again, the way we code, we sit right next to them, we're connected. But again, you're saying we. That's what you do, and I understand that. And I mean, hey,
yeah,
more power to you. I think that's great. To have yourself backed up, but that's not the way a lot of people work, especially when it comes to these kind of games. They just don't work in that sense. Was it their fault? Completely and totally. Should they have had it backed up? Yes.
But yeah, we're not saying that they shouldn't, and by all means, we're not trying to justify. The key is we're trying to understand.
Right.
There's no justifying it. History we don't grow from history from justifying it. We grow from history from understanding it.
Why it happened and who these people are. So, yeah, I don't really find them as much fault. We're talking about M2.
Well, we're discussing specifically Project Zomboid, which was a game that was on this sort of pay what you want, kind of on that, like you pay less to get in on the ground floor sort of paying structure that went very horribly for a period of time, and I would say was on the verge of just being completely canned.
But now they're back.
Yeah, then they're doing fine. The game's okay. It's an isometric zombie game. Like, it's not like just a shooter. Like, you actually have to survive and sort of scavenge and stuff like that. It's like quasi turn-based. It's cool, but no, I agree. You're yelling at them because doing it wrong is less work. I agree. It's hindsight is 20/20.
Right, and again, like you said, but these people aren't experts. I think their concern is making a game. They don't. I mean, I can't tell you the number of people, and even companies I've worked with. Okay, and I'll go back to myself as a graphic designer. I've worked with companies. These are pretty houses, pretty firms that do this professionally. That you would think, oh, they've got their stuff together, and I'll go, hey, do you have a vectorized logo of your company's logo? And they look at me like I'm speaking Greek. Which, if you don't understand, essentially a vectorized logo is an infinitely resizable image that you can use because it's based off of mathematical scalable equations. And all they have for me is a little thumbnail. It's about 5 pixels by 5 pixels that's on an email signature of their boss's email. They go, here's our logo. And I'm going, you guys are a professional company. You should have. But again, we go back to the point that the passion for making these games doesn't spawn from knowing what you're doing. It spawns from having a passion and a drive to build these games, and that doesn't spawn out of brainiacs who have it all together all the time.
Sure, and we wouldn't. We'd be saying the exact same thing if they were having a jam session. They all flew in, and lightning strikes and fries all their computers. We'd be going, why aren't you guys on UPSs? That seems like a logical thing. Why didn't you even just have a surge protector, on your stuff? We could always come up with a logical thing because in a perfect environment, in a perfect climate, we're going to have everything backed up and everything secure. But these things happen, okay? And that doesn't make them right.
No.
But we got to grow from them, and running to Twitter with your pitchforks and torches is not helping anything.
I think the reaction to it, from both sides, it's knee-jerk, it's not necessary, and it does nothing to create a better environment for these indie developers to make games in.
Mhm.
Because then if they see that, they go, gosh, I make one little misstep. Why would I ever want to make a game again? I mean,
Yep.
we just, one of the interviews I was honored to do was with Wolf Game. And they had some issues with some of their games. Silver Quest was one of them. And, it's one of those things that I don't think people really appreciate the time and energy that goes into these and how attached you become to these fans. And when they lash out at you like this, it really kills your drive and motivation because now it's turned from something that's your project, your baby, to something you've given over to them and they've just ripped it to shreds.
Sure, and even more so with the Zomboid debacle. That was even still probably a small amount of their fan base, but it was the most vocal. It was the ones that could do the most damage.
Right, that's true.
There were plenty of the guys that were on the forums going, hey, we've been keeping up on everything. We would love to help you. We'll do a lot of the monkey work, a lot of the coding. We'll help you out any way we can because they're truly devoted to the concept. You know? And those are the kind of guys that in a pay what you want or a free to play game are going to be your whales, as it's an industry term. Those are the guys that are going to put a crap ton of money and they're going to be around for the long run. And if you have your structure from the get-go based on that, then you really can succeed with a free-to-play model.
Exactly.
Small group.
Well,
I think
we've actually went for the free-to-play and covered a good, kind of hot-button topic that I think makes a good point. So
absolutely. Before we conclude, does anybody have any other points or questions that they would like to get out? Because we do all the talking. Sure, we're in front of the camera, but you guys, everything you say, everything you guys comment on, we listen, and you guys are just as much a part of this discussion as we are. So if you have any other thoughts or on the free to play,
how many more minutes do you get the lightsaber?
24. Just now.
Changed. 24 minutes until bonus time.
24
minutes.
That's
1 a.m. our time. I imagine that's 12.
I tell you what, if I end up getting a lightsaber, I'll post a picture. Oh God, you'll wait. I don't know that we'll wait.
I don't know.
We're running midnight oil here. Yeah. It's but goodness.
Yeah, but we really do appreciate it. It's actually turned into a good conversation, which I think does kind of bring up something I brought up the first that I want to kind of reiterate that as Shawn and I have talked about it, is Substance TV Live is evolving into it's like a Pokemon, man. It's evolving. We're Bulbasaur, and now we're like,
no Everstones on us. We encourage evolving.
Yeah, exactly. No, not at all. We want to evolve. But we're not one of these idiots that just keeps Pikachu as Pikachu and doesn't evolve to Raichu. No, I'm just kidding, because Pamela Horton does that. I'm giving her a time. But we're trying this new idea, like we said. Well, we're not only playing games, we're not only having these little game sessions, but we're actually having conversations like this where the games we play, exploring the culture through the games, not merely just playing a game and letting you guys watch. We want you to be involved in the sense of, you're chatting about the game, but you're also chatting about those conversations like free-to-play or like Castlevania, informing people about these things that you just don't know about. And that's where we want to bring substance. We just don't want to be these two guys yakking on camera about fart jokes in a game, which we will from time to time.
Oh, we will. There's a time and place for that.
But
But we respect you guys enough to try and have some intelligent conversation. Simply T, my Twitter is in limbo. I'm actually trying to contact Chuck Bonsai. I've been in contact with Chuck Bonsai.
You are dedicated to this, aren't you?
Well, goodbye. Shawn the Substance Guy, or guy who talks a lot about video games.
Sunny Shawn.
Super Squishy Fan, Mega Man Dude 84.
You'd have to be super duper promise Shawn. And then you would
exactly
that Twitter account.
JK, and that's the thing is we respect our fans a lot, and we respect that you guys you come to us because we want to talk culture. Yeah. We want to evolve the industry, evolve the entire subculture, and
we'll bring it past what because a lot of what we see and the reason that Substance TV exists in the capacity it does right now is because we felt that there's been a void. We felt that there was something missing. And
too much head and palm crap.
Yeah, or it's just kind of like the easy laughs and the easy conversations, and we don't want to have that. We want to have those kind of.
Today's featured article was a guy who accidentally masturbated on his Twitch account on League of Legends.
Yeah.
That's. That's really... What did you put food on the table with today? A man masturbating on Twitch.
Masturbating on Twitch. Yeah, that's really what makes Mom proud. It's really what she raised me to. She says, son, you're going to be the kind of guy that covers stories and coverage about guys jerking off on live casts online. That's my son.
If you don't know what we're talking about, that's probably a good thing. That means that you're already not running down the channels that the most people are. It happens.
It does happen.
If you do just a quick little Google, you'll end up spotting some gaming journalism sites. You'll find
it's the internet.
You'll find it. But yes, no, that's the kind of things that get covered. So
yep. So do check out, of course, SubstanceTV.net. I actually put an article that has a video link by a good friend of mine who goes by the name Hyperbit Hero on YouTube, who does a really good video about memes in video games, and are they overused, and how does that affect the talent of writing and the quality of the games that we have. So go check that out on the site, and tomorrow will be another Game Grief as I continue my journey through Dark Souls at 10 p.m. Central Standard Time on Sunday, and of course next week, next weekend.
Yes.
Unless you'll be doing it by yourself, there will be no Substance TV Live.
Well, I feel pretty confident that I could run solo.
I think you could run solo, buddy.
I think I could. I think that our fine viewers would.
I think they would have, because I'm going to be on my anniversary trip.
Oh yeah, well, that'll be nice. Well, maybe we can come up with something awesome for a special Brian is not here cast.
Who could you have join you? A special guest?
I don't know, but if we want to try and come up with something to play or something to do, guys, you just hit us up on our Facebook page, our Twitter page.
Yep, Facebook page is stv.social. Twitter is @SubstanceTV. Very easy to get to. And of course, you can contact us by all of our wonderful ways on our website, substancetv.net.
But I would say it's very likely, like 90% sure.
90% sure.
We will still be here, same time, bat time, same bat channel.
So come back here Saturday at 10 p.m. unless you hear different.
That's right.
All right. Well, anything else, Shawn?
Not at all. From both of us, we're very thankful, very honored to have you all here, and I hope we've all grown as seekers of culture. As
got all
substanceites.
Got all deep substance sites.
You know what, Erdesuit? Next week I will get in a heated argument with myself. I will just spend 2 hours just arguing with myself.
Also get Boomsies back.
Yeah, that'll be Boomsies.
That'll be Boomsies. He'll just argue with themselves. Yes, that's right.
Yes, the only substance you need. You can literally sustain yourself.
It's actually it's subsidy.
It's subsidy. It's subsidized.
We're subsidized subsidies.
Subsidies.
And it's a good kind of subsidy. Usually a subsidy is a bad thing, but a subsidy with us is a good thing.
It's true. It is. Excellent. So from the Bat Cave,
Man Baby Cave,
I am Shawn,
and I'm Brian.
Live long and prosper, or something. How do you handle something?
You can't say live long and prosper or something.
Or something. Well, I don't.
You can't. That totally ruins the live long and prosper part. It's supposed to be like
or don't.
Live long and prosper. Or don't. Really disappointed. Okay, we're going to come with something
I'm done.
next week. We're done. See you guys.